We now welcome into the call the head coach of the Towson Tigers, Pat Kennedy. Good morning, Coach Kennedy.
Good morning.
A tough week for you guys. Two more close losses, one on the road at Delaware and then at home against Drexel on Saturday. Talk about the two games a little bit.
Yeah, well, obviously that's been our season. I really, again, continue to take my hat off to our kids, their character, and their ability to play hard and play to win and stay together during a difficult time has been really, really very special. At least special to me as a head coach. This is probably one of the best coaching jobs I think I've been involved with in terms of that. It doesn't show up in the wins and losses. But we go to Delaware up by 11 in the second half. Again, I'm not sure how many teams have been up by that many points on them in the second half, and then just our inability to close in the final minutes really hurt us. But that's kind of been our situation most of the year long in terms of being able to finish a game. It's been very, very, that's been something that's really, really hurt us. Obviously, then coming back and playing Drexel, we've had two really good battles with Drexel. I had an older gentleman, a friend of mine, a former high school coach from New Jersey that came to the game, and after the game he said, boy, that's the same Drexel team that beat Louisville at Louisville. You guys had a layup with 10 seconds to go to beat them, and yet you look at your record and you wouldn't put the two together. So it's been that kind of season for our guys, but even in the Drexel game, got down a little bit late. They're strong and powerful. They play well, and Bruce has done a great job getting 20 W's. Our guys came right back, and Josh Brown missed a layup with about 12 seconds to go, and then we missed two tip-ins from Braxton Dupree. Any one of the three shots drops, and you got the lead with under 10 seconds. So, again, our guys understand where we're at. We're looking at this as a brand-new season. As I've always told the guys, if you win the first game, if you win the first round, then you're extremely dangerous. We've talked about Ohio U last year winning 4 games in their tournament to get to the NCAA. So this team's going in with a very positive attitude, and we're all very thankful for that.
7 losses out of the Drexel game by 4 points or less this season. Do you get to the point, and you mentioned the Delaware game where you had the lead, do you guys feel a little bit snake-bitten? Do you feel like you're due to win one of these close ones?
Well, certainly you do, and we've tried to get better in practice in terms of time and score in the end of the game. But what you need at this level of college basketball is you need takeover guards. You can't have your big step out and take over the game. The game's got to be taken over at the guard spot. And as we go through our conference, you've got the Cam Longs that had a great season. Tomko can take over a game as well as anybody. Jenkins, obviously, at Hofstra. And there's a long list of those guys in our conference. We just really haven't had a go-to guard late in the year, and you got 2 freshmen out there and 2 walk-ons out there. And that's why when you look at the pure sense of the coaching job of having our guys in position to win as many games as we have with the limited amount of resources we've had, I think it's really a strong mark of what these kids are all about. So just learning how to develop some go-to people. Isaiah Fillmore would have to be our go-to guy. He didn't get the shot against Drexel, but we had to take what was offered to us.
I'll touch a little bit on Isaiah. 2 more double-doubles last week, and he's really had a tremendous year for you. We've talked often how improved he's been from his freshman and sophomore year, but just talk about his growth as becoming a go-to guy as a sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, he has played well. He's played at times where I think there's no question he's been the best player on the floor, which is a great thing because he's only a sophomore. Not just his ability to score the ball, but rebounding and defense. As I said, I thought he had one of the best defensive performances of the year against Sammy Gibbons at Drexel, where he played Sammy straight up man-to-man, and Sammy was 1 for 9, and he did a good job on him. He made him change some shots and has a few inches on him, and Sammy, I think, is undoubtedly one of the best players in our conference. So, yeah, he's really come a long way, he's got to learn to handle the ball a little bit better on the perimeter, which he'll work on this summer. But I think he's going to be a real force in the conference next 2 years.
We have a Towson head coach, Pat Kennedy. If you have a question for Coach Kennedy, just hit *1 on your keypad. We'll get to that question as soon as we can. Of course, as all our schools did, you had Senior Day on Saturday, and one of those seniors, Josh Brown, who's a former walk-on, has 21 points in his final home game. And talk about he's had a great year for you, and talk about his career coming from a walk-on to becoming a player that's made an impact for you. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of it by necessity, based on the guys that we lost. But at the same time, he's really stepped up. And when we lost Troy and we lost Cephas Oglesby, that's a point and a 2, but they're pretty quality players. It opened the door for Josh, and he took full advantage of it, and he did a great job. Obviously, the 23 points against LaSalle, which was our last win, was an outstanding performance. He can score the ball. He's pretty tricky off the dribble. And he's actually been playing with two bad knees. He had his knee drained about a week and a half ago, and it hurts him a little bit on the defensive end. But he really has had a nice year for us, no question.
You guys, one of the things that you've been really good at here over the last month is not turning the ball over. Only 5 turnovers in the game against Drexel, and you've had similar type of results here over the last 8 to 10 games. Talk about the way you've taken care of the ball and how important that might be this weekend.
Well, it's always very, very important. And, when you're in a one-game season, there's 2 things you can't do. You can't have a bad shooting night, and you can't go out and turn the ball over. But we've been very disciplined with the basketball in our hands. We knew we couldn't become a transitional team. We've had to live with this whole thing of depth and foul trouble, et cetera, during the year because of our lack of it. So, our guys have done a great job. I mean, we might be leading the nation in ourselves in Wisconsin in turnovers in the last 14, 15 basketball games because we've just not turned it over a whole lot. So, we have to have that going into the tournament. You have to shoot really well. And, you just got to make plays at the end of the game. That's what all these tournaments come down to.
You've been through this experience where you guys, a couple years back, the first 11 seed ever to make it to the semifinals, where you pulled some upsets. Are there any parallels between that team and this team, and what were you able to tell that team a couple years ago that you might draw on to talk to this year's team about?
Well, for this year's team, which we've looked at, is that we've just been a much better basketball team. I mean, the most ironic thing about this team is the record. Last year when we played at LaSalle, we lost by 36 points. This team went to LaSalle, and it was a 1 or 2 possession game in the last minutes, and the same thing here the other day. This team is a much better basketball team than even that team that did that a few years back. Again, it doesn't show up in a win-loss record, but you can't go to Northeastern and be up by 7 at half and have a 22-point lead against Wilmington, 11-point lead at Delaware, obviously right down to the wire with Old Dominion, 49-47. So consistently, this team has been clearly better than the team a year ago, which is, at least for us here on our campus, when you think about some of the guys that we did lose and some of the guys we have coming in now, that's what makes it a bright-looking future. It's one thing if you're losing and the kids give up or they pull away from each other and you're getting hammered. That's a whole different thing. That means the program's kind of not where it needs to be. But to be as highly competitive in such an outstanding conference is a great thing. There's no question in my mind we have 2 teams that are a lock for the NCAA tournament. No matter what happens, and we've got some other teams that I think should get some consideration. If somebody else other than Old Dominion and George Mason win the league, we're going to have 3 teams in the tournament. So highly competitive, and we've watched a lot of our positive tape from the past, and hopefully that'll help our kids.
You touched on the success of Mason and Old Dominion, and going to this weekend with 6 teams with 20 wins for the first time in the league's history. Is this as deep as you can remember this tournament being?
Oh, no question. I mean, we have a lot of outstanding teams, and we also got some scary teams. Northeastern really came alive at the end of the year. We all know playing William and Mary is no picnic with the way they play their matchup defense and run their Princeton / West Virginia style offense. I mean, this is a deep tournament. It's a very strong tournament, and there's a large number of terrific players. I mean, for me anyway, just for the years I've been in the league, it's kind of really gone to a high level of the mid-major. I mean, when you watch, you turn on the VCU James Mason game, you're watching it. You're watching a lot of men out there playing, not young guys out of high school. You're looking at men, and when you see that development physically and talent-wise, it just makes for an outstanding conference, and that's where we're at.
I got a question for you in queue, Pat from Paul Woody at the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Go ahead, Paul.
About something. You're in a interesting spot. You're in ACC country. You've got the Big East snaking down there, and the Big East certainly has got a lot of attention this year. Media markets that focus on the pro sports and the big-time schools. I just wondered the challenges of putting together a competitive program at Towson State, how hard that is, and what you need to do to be successfsul there.
Oh, okay. Well, one of the big things that's happened here is they've changed the name of the school from Towson State to Towson University. So that's one of the first major steps. That's okay, but that's part of it. Just exactly what you said there is part of what we've had to battle since I've been here. And to be very honest and frank, when I got here, I had no idea how far down the Towson program was. It was really operating more like a Division III style program. I just about, you could just about throw my first 3 years out the window here, because what we had to do in-house to change the way we operated as a program took an enormous amount of energy and time and expertise. And that's what we kind of brought to the table. We had a $10 million renovation of the Towson Center, which I told our president would really have very little effect at all on athletics, to where we're now building a $70 million new arena that's going to seat 6,000 people. That's probably been our greatest accomplishment. But what's happened is not so much how competitive we've become. That sounds odd with the number of losses we have to say how competitive we've become. But if I took the teams I inherited and they played this schedule, we would have lost even more games with a bigger differential than what we've even gotten close to this year. So it takes a lot of pieces, and we're not there yet. Now, with the young men we got coming in, with the group we have here, with the new arena, we have an AD that has a Division I background at North Carolina and Virginia and Cincinnati. There's certainly some light at the end of the tunnel. But what's made these building jobs in this league so much more difficult is become the level of excellence that the other programs have gotten to. Their strength and conditioning, their academic advisement, how they house their student athletes. Just a number of the things that they do that Towson still has a ways to go to get caught up to. So it takes priority on campus, it takes financial commitment, it takes a lot of hard work.